Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's fantasy sports show. I mean, I almost don't even know what to call it at this time of year. I'm here with Kasey, Vlad to the Bone, Shienvold, and Ross the Boss. We're here every Thursday at 4:45 p.m. Eastern, 1:45 p.m. Pacific. Now back to you. Kasey, say hi.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Happy January 19th.
Vlad to the Bone, Kasey Shienvold. You heard it him first. Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing it? Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk sports and fantasy sports and anything else you want to talk about with you, Cowboy. It's going to be unbelievable today. I'm so excited. Let's get started as soon as possible.
Good job, Ross. You kicked it up a notch there. I saw you went into high gear. So we actually have a lot of ground to cover. Even at this time of year, there's all kinds of things to talk about. We got dynasty football. We are going to talk basketball. We'll see if Kasey collapses when we do it because he never likes to do it. It's almost, I mean, I hate to say it, Kasey, but it's a little bit fun to watch for briefly just to see you try to deal with fantasy basketball. Then we're going to start to talk about fantasy baseball because, listen, pitchers and catchers report in 11 or 12 days.
I know. It's exciting.
I can't believe
it. See, I'm wearing my A's shirt for everybody for baseball. You guys see that?
There you are.
I got the Expos underneath here.
I forget. Are you an A's fan, Ross? Is that part
of
it?
Actually, in the American League, I'm a Reds fan, but in the American League, I like the A's because every time I go to spring training, I know everybody that works there and they always take care of me. So that's why they gave me the stuff and I wear it and I root for them. And they're one of these small market teams that don't spend $1. And for some reason, they're always in the playoff hunt. You know, it's like every year.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the best well-run.
Except for last year when
I said it. I heard what you said. But let's talk football. NFL playoffs this weekend. I'm excited. I do want to talk fantasy though because I have a question for you guys to
Look
start
who else
off
is
with.
Excited. Just Bob is excited.
Just Bob's
good
excited.
To see you, Just Bob.
So a lot of my leagues want to get rid of the tight end position, just make it a flex position. They just want to get rid of it. I mean, of course, you can draft Kittle, you can draft Andrews, you can draft, of course, Kelsey, who I think is a top 5 pick next year. Don't tell Kasey Shienvold that because I don't want to take him from me. But what's your thoughts about getting rid of the tight end position for next year in fantasy football? Go.
Case, I'll let you start on that, and then
I'm in a league. I'm actually in a league right now where they don't have a dedicated tight end position. It's a wide receiver tight end flex position. I don't know. Maybe I'm a traditionalist. I kind of like the tight end position because it just adds another layer of draft strategy and forces you to pay more attention. There's a ton of wide receivers in the league now who are fantasy relevant, and there's only a handful of tight ends, and it's outside of Jason Kelsey. I like kind of Travis Kelsey. Both
Jason
Kelsey brothers had buys in the first round of the playoffs, but for different teams.
Was the center, was the tight end? Yeah.
After Travis Kelsey, then it's like when is it the right time to bite? If you miss a run on 2 or 3 tight ends, all of a sudden you're scrambling the rest of the year. I kind of enjoy that aspect of it. So I'm a fan of the tight end.
Well, let me ask a different question. Why would you get rid of the tight end? Why is it so?
Because, I'll tell you, I'll answer that question, Case. Okay. So it's just after Kelsey, Kittle, I'll put Andrews in there, maybe those 3 relevant guys.
And
it's garbage. It's garbage time.
Of course it is.
I mean, it's garbage time. And
so people want the opportunity to get points at that position, even if they miss out on the big 3.
Yeah. So it's garbage time. There's no buddy that's really that relevant that you want on your team. Just have let's say Knox of Buffalo, I mean, he's great. He's there. Is he going to get you 16, 15 points a week? No. Will he have a couple big games? Yeah. But I mean, it's another argument also is do you want to have kickers on your team?
Okay, but that's a different argument. And
I'm telling you that it's garbage time in tight ends. It's just a dark hole.
Well, it definitely is. But here's the thing. If you get rid of tight end, then you're basically making George Kittle and Mark Andrews and these players essentially wide receiver 2s. They become
except Kelsey. Yes, I agree with you. Yes,
and that to me feels wrong.
Well, where does Kelsey get
there? I'm not. I wanted your opinions. I'm
Ross,
not saying I'm
let me ask you this. Ross, let me ask you this. Let's say the tight end position is washed away. where does Kelsey's draft position fall? Then you call him a top 5 pick, but that's because he can play tight end, because tight end is its own position.
You still think he's top 5? Ross?
You still think he's top 5, even if he
I
has
would
to go
say
against wide
if
receivers?
there's no tight end, I would make him late first round. I would take him in the late. Yes, I think Kelsey.
See, and I think Kelsey could drop all the way to like
second or
24th.
third round. Yeah.
Wow.
I would say end of the second.
Well, here, you got to think about it. I mean, how old is Kelsey now?
Kasey,
You want me to look it up?
He's like 30, 31, 32?
Is he this
32, I think.
32?
And I just think
He's 30. He'll be 34 during the next season.
So he's
Okay,
30, he's
you're going to
33.
draft a 34-year-old tight end in the first round. I don't think you do it if you don't have the tight end spot.
I just think the Kansas City offense relies on him so much, and I just think he's worth that much in fantasy.
He could be,
but that's
but you're paying top dollar for him.
Yeah.
I'd rather go in different directions than that.
I understand.
So I think my opinion is don't get rid of the tight end position because it makes the best players at that position.
And we'll keep it. We'll keep the tight end position.
Here's the other thing. It's also strategy. Certain teams buy in early on it and they get that payoff. And those that wait don't. I like anything that adds to strategy. What I don't like about kickers is there's no strategy. There's basically no strategy. You could play him in his home. Yeah. You could say, let's play home teams only, but it is a serious crapshoot. I would have no problem getting rid of kickers altogether. Not as people, but in the game.
Unless you're Brett Maher. Unless you're Brett Maher that missed 4 extra points on
he was like 51 for 53 on the season coming into that game. And
insane.
One of the 2 he missed. He had missed 5 extra points in a row. I think I read that he missed the last extra point he kicked in week 18, and then the first 4 against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
All right, now I put up Just Bob's comment. I'm excited again because it's a cliffhanger. Just Bob, I want to know what are you excited about? Let's bring the heat on this.
Should we play the song "I'm So Excited" by the
I'm
Pointer
so
Sisters?
excited.
I just can't fight it. Sing it, Case.
I just can't.
I'm about to
hide
lose
it.
control,
Isn't it?
I just can't fight it.
I think I like it.
Okay, listen.
I like it.
Everyone just got the treat of Ross singing. I'm so excited.
You guys get the best of me. So we talked about it. Let's talk. You want to talk NFL? We'll talk about it at the top of the show. Those 4 games. We're down to the Elite 8. I'm going to call it that because I love. I'm excited for too, guys. I love college basketball season.
March Madness
is my favorite.
It's my favorite. Can't wait.
So Casey's team's still in it. My team's still in it. And Dan, you're a Buffalo Bills. You just adopted them as your team. I heard that's the big news out of Cleveland.
I did, and then they promptly had a major health scare to a player. So I apologize. I don't think it was actually my fault.
It's funny. So what do you think the odds are of what's the kid's name that got hurt a couple weeks ago? Yeah. What do you think the odds of him leading the Buffalo Bills out of the tunnel on Sunday when they play the Bengals?
I don't know what shape he's in physically, but if he's
physically able to,
if he's 100%. Physically able, it's 100%.
I agree. I think he's been hanging out a lot at the complex in Buffalo in Orchard Park. So, and I think he's okay. I mean, I'm not a doctor.
I think he'll lead them out of the tunnel and then immediately go give T. Higgins a hug. I just that would be kind of the storybook way to do it, right? Because
that's good. I like that case.
So,
okay, Just Bob is back. Just Bob, tell us what you're excited about. You left us on a cliffhanger.
Oh, do you see he changed his logo to the Yankees?
I think you're excited about Carlos Rodon, right?
Oh, that must be what it is. He came back, changed his logo to.
There it is. I'm excited.
Yes,
for baseball.
I'm excited for baseball. There it is.
Carlos
Rodon.
Rodon.
We're going to get to that soon, Just Bob. Let's talk a little bit of football. What do you expect out of the 8 teams left? Who do you think is going to win this?
Win the Super Bowl or win this weekend?
I'm talking Super Bowl, but you have to win this weekend to get to the Super Bowl. Who are your picks this weekend? Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Speed Racer. Okay, so Kasey, who are your picks this weekend?
I will take the Bengals, the Giants, the 49ers, and the Chiefs.
Can you believe Daniel Jones? Let's talk about
that. I'm excited for that because I have him in Dynasty. It's finally
I'm so excited.
And I traded him to get him, I traded Kyler Murray, which to me feels like a steal because I got a first round pick, which is now the third pick of the draft, and Daniel Jones.
And several inches in height.
And
So
that wasn't hard.
I mean, Kasey, you got to admit, your
Brad
Giants
Williams
coach,
is several inches in height.
The coach for the Giants really knows how to utilize Daniel Jones.
Right.
I mean, he should get a medal for that. I mean, Daniel Jones is he's playing unbelievable football. I mean, he really is.
And they're going to try to get him a wide receiver this offseason, so that'll make him even better.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see teams like the Bears and the Giants just letting these guys play the way they play. These running quarterbacks, they're letting them run, and you see what it's getting. And meanwhile, the Jaguars are alive. I mean,
that was I saw a meme, and I won't fully describe it, but I'll imply it because I think it might get us filtered. But it was a picture of Bill Clinton standing next to Monica Lewinsky, and Bill Clinton was 27-0, 27-0, and Monica Lewinsky was the Chargers.
I saw the same thing. It's funny. Yeah, I mean, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing great football, but for the Chargers to lose that game, I mean, they were up 27-0.
I don't know how Staley kept his job.
They fired the offensive coordinator. I think they fired the defensive guy. I mean, they fired a bunch of people except him. Yep. But I mean, that game alone, it was just. I mean, if I was a gambler and I was in Vegas and if I bet the Chargers and it's halftime, I'll be celebrating, drinking, calling Dan Ratner on the phone, saying, "Hey, Dan, fly to Vegas. It's on me. You know, everything's great." And then all of a sudden, I lose everything. I lose everything.
It's like they consulted with the Browns. The Browns could have done that.
I remember a game, this had to be early 2000s in the playoffs, where it was the San Francisco 49ers and the New York Giants. And the Giants, and this was when T.O. was still on the Niners, and the Giants were up huge. And then, I think T.O. celebrated a touchdown to cut it to 17 points in the fourth quarter. And Strahan pointed to the scoreboard. And this was in San Francisco. And then they ended up blowing the game, and San Francisco ended up winning it. That was the most humiliated I felt as a Giants fan in a long time.
I mean, again, another big game, a big cutback was the Minnesota-Indianapolis game this year, too. Remember that case? It was
33-0 at halftime, wasn't it?
Yeah. And all the Minnesota fans were leaving. And all of a sudden, Cousins came back and they beat Indy, which was one of the biggest comebacks I've seen. So it's been a fun year in NFL football this year.
And I mean, from a fantasy perspective, that turned around all kinds of games. It was completely insane. Yeah. So, meanwhile, the Cowboys and 49ers, that's like a serious old school matchup. I feel like wasn't the catch against the Cowboys?
Yes, good memory.
I feel like we're going to see Dwight Clark's catch over and over and over for all week. Probably.
I think we'll see my highlights. I mean, those were unbelievable games with Aikman and Montana. I mean, all those guys. It was great. And yes, the catch, Dwight Clark in the corner end zone. That stadium's not there anymore. They destroyed it. But that's one of the most iconic catches ever in football. And that game coming up. I mean, if Dak Prescott did what he did last week, if he does that with the 49ers, it's going to be a close game. I mean,
the 49ers pass rush is a little bit better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rush. But you're right. I mean, if Dak Prescott gets that hot and CeeDee Lamb has been playing like a true number one the last half of the season, that they're a much better football team. But Tony Pollard's got to show up for them to have a chance.
Yep.
So here we go. Since we're talking fantasy football, I'm going to ask for your advice. Just Bob, if you want to chime in, it's great. Obviously now we're getting into the off season for fantasy. So dynasty fantasy football becomes much more important. Dan and I are in a dynasty league where he and I have decided over the past few years to kind of gut our roster and focus on draft picks. So he just made a trade to get himself the first 2 picks of the draft coming up. He already had number 1.
Hold on. I earned the first pick by being the worst team in the league.
Okay.
But yes, right. I did just trade for the second.
I happen to have the 3rd and 4th pick. The 4th pick was mine. I earned it. The 3rd pick was the one I got for the Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray trade. I just received a trade offer for the 4th pick. So not the 3rd pick, but the 4th pick.
Did I offer it to you?
Offer?
Because I don't know if I did.
No, it was Timothy offered it to me, I think.
Timothy.
He's got 1-8.
Right. So he offered me pick 8, his 4th round pick, and A.J. Dillon for the 4th pick.
It's a really smart offer. I'm not sure I would do it, but it's smart.
And who are your other running backs?
My other running backs, and I'm light at running back. So my other running backs are Kenneth Walker. So that's a good one.
Yep. K9, we love him.
I have Devin Singletary.
I'm worried about Cook taking over that position, but keep going.
I have Isaiah Pacheco.
I don't like any Kansas City running backs just because they don't mean anything in the offense. But that's
right, and that's what I have. I have CEH again, not
another
the most valuable.
waste of space. Yep.
I have, and then I have Keontae Ingram in Arizona. So I don't have running back depth. Now with that fourth pick, there is a rookie running back who I'm looking at. I'm not going to get Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is going to go number 1 or 2.
He's University of Texas sensation, one of the best running backs in the college football
right now. Those are
right
probably the 2 first picks. Although I was curious if he would take CJ Stroud and Bryce Young and just kind of take I'm going to get 2 cornerstone young quarterbacks. But
it's a very interesting thing. By the way, Just Bob is predicting. I want to acknowledge his predictions: Bengals, Eagles, Niners, Kansas City.
I agree with everything but the Eagles. You got to root for my Giants, Bob. Come on.
I agree. Well,
let's talk about that game. I think that, I think the Eagles are not playing good football right now. I mean, that's what I think. And their quarterback is rusty. He hasn't played in like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a little bit. I think he played the last game, but whatever. I just feel the Giants have a really good chance of winning that game. Really good chance, Kasey. So we'll see what happens.
So anyway, go ahead.
I'm going Eagles on that game, but we'll see.
I'll go Giants. I'll stay with Case. Keep going.
Right. So my question is, would you rather have A.J. Dillon and the 8th pick, which probably would be a wide receiver? It would be a Jackson Smith, Najigba.
Addison from USC, I like a lot, but keep going. Yeah.
Keyshawn Boot. I don't think Addison will make it all the way to 8. I think he goes 5-6 range. Him and Quentin Johnston from TCU, to me, are top
no argument
picks. But so would you rather have A.J. Dillon in the 8th pick? So A.J. Dillon, let's say Jackson Smith and Najigba. The reason I might like that is because that's who everybody's predicting the Giants are going to take in the draft. So I would have Daniel Jones to him. I'd have almost a stack. Or would you rather have who I think is the second best running back in the draft, Jahmyr Gibbs?
Who?
For Alabama, Jahmyr Gibbs. He's Alabama, kind of an Alvin. Yeah. He's an Alvin Kamara type. Like that's
I've seen him play. These rookie running backs just scare me. Sometimes they don't play the first year. Sometimes they hide. Sometimes you don't really see them being part of the offense.
Depends on how highly they're drafted, though. I mean,
that's true. I agree with you. I agree.
Like Bijan is going to play,
right?
I would probably with your team you have, Kasey, because you're not that running back strong. I would want A.J. Dillon.
Now and my concern with him obviously is Aaron Jones. He's not going to be. He's never been
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone. I don't see him being the quarterback next year of.
I agree.
Green Bay
I'm not
Packers.
sure, but I agree.
Vegas, Las Vegas.
I see him going to like Minnesota and throwing to Justin Jefferson for a couple of years just to do what Brett Favre did to the Packers when he left. He went to the
Packers tradition.
In Minnesota.
Remember when Bart Starr went to Minnesota?
Remember back in the day,
Ross, you would take A.J. Dillon and a wide receiver.
Yeah, I would keep with your team. I would keep A.J. Dillon right now.
I just want to make
I'm worried about your running back. I'm worried about you take some running back and he doesn't, like Spiller from the Chargers, who they took early, and he didn't play at all this year.
One caveat, though, that I would say in Dynasty is making a deal on draft picks in January does carry some risk to it because a lot can happen during that time.
Yeah.
I think you can probably get that deal done virtually at any time.
Now, I don't have to.
That being said,
I told him I have time to think about it, so he's not
trying.
Expecting.
He was trying to trade with me at 1.6, but he never offered. A.J. Dillon. If he had, I probably would just take it. 1.8 to 1.6 for A.J. Dillon, that's well worth it. 1.8 to 1.4, I don't know.
But next year, Dynasty, Khalid Williams will be the number one pick, guaranteed for everybody in Dynasty. Whoever league you're in, he'll be the number one guy you want. He's the next big. He'll be the next big thing.
Who's that?
That's going to be interesting to see.
Khalid Williams for USC, the USC quarterback.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman.
Some
Do
might
you
know
guys
him.
do you guys see really quick? And then I just want to talk college football real quick. There was a player at a high school that's going to University of Miami in Florida. I got to say Florida because my daughter goes to Ohio. He was the 7th rated quarterback in the country. Okay, and he's getting. Listen to this, guys. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is why college football is like changed and it's not innocent anymore. He's getting $16 million for his NIL deal. $16 million at a high school, and he's not in the top rated quarterback. He's like 7.
There are a number of reasons I'm laughing at that. I mean, I'm laughing at the size of the number, but I'm also laughing at how unfair it is to all the people that came before who didn't get anything in this.
I mean, imagine how
he's
much
going to Miami and Florida, which is a big program.
Imagine how much LeBron James would have made in high school if this was.
Imagine how much Dan Ratner would have made out of high school playing basketball. He would have been a multimillionaire.
How much does that female gymnast from LSU get per year? Like they had to hire security so she could leave the.
It's absurd.
I don't know, but when I read 16 million, and can you imagine having that kind of money as a freshman in college? You never really come from money, and all of a sudden you get 16 million in your bank. I mean, what do? I mean, you buy a car, you probably buy a house, you probably give some to your family. But I mean, do you like walk around campus, not caring about anything except football and your.
So let me ask you a different question about this trade. I'm sorry, I'm going to stay on fantasy sports. It's amazing. He also has on his roster Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
And he has Javonte Williams, who obviously tore his ACL,
yeah,
but might be back by the regular season. Would you rather have AJ Dillon or one of them?
I would probably rather have Javonte of the three of them.
Even though he's coming off a torn ACL.
I know he is, but I just think he has less competition in the backfield.
Yep.
I don't think Dillon is actually that proven.
Nope.
Just Bob's laughing at Kasey's joke, I assume, to get back to fantasy sports. I think running backs can come back from these injuries just fine. Look at Etienne,
Yeah. Well, he came.
I mean, Javonte is a young running back. I believe he's 22, and
I will tell you in a second.
I think he's 22, and when you're that young, your body recovers very quickly, Kasey. And
he's 22.
He's a really good running back. He's really strong. He's really fast, and he's big, and he's durable. He'll be back, and I'd rather have, like Dr. Dan Ratner said, I'd rather have Williams.
If you can make that deal for Javonte, I would snatch it up immediately.
I would too, and I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back for preseason.
Yeah.
So, Bob, I want your opinion. Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon, or Tony Pollard. Who do you think has the highest future ceiling?
All right, now while he's pondering that, or if he jumps in soon, I'll bring it in.
He wins every league he's in, so I trust his judgment.
Even though I have the top 2 picks in our league, most people do not. So, who is the number 1 pick? Is it automatically Bijan?
No,
I don't think so either.
I don't know your team. I mean, what do you need?
This is a super flex league.
Okay.
In a super flex, it's a quarterback. So it's whether it's probably Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Those would be the two.
Okay, but my team has. You think Kasey's thin at running back? Wait till you see mine. My top running back right now, it might be Jaylen Warren. I have no one at running back. I mean,
doesn't matter. You guys trade like maniacs in this league. So if you take if you take Young or Stroud, I mean, their trade value is very high, and you'll be able to trade for a really good running back, Dan. So with this dynasty league you're in, get, like Kasey said, take one of those top tier quarterbacks. Depends who drafts them. I would wait. Can you wait?
If Dan drafts them, they're available for trade.
Okay. But I'm curious to see where Stroud goes. I'm curious to see where Young goes.
He traded half of his draft to get Patrick Mahomes with the first overall pick when we started this league, and then traded him a year later.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't half the draft. I
I think
him
Stroud
for
and
cheap.
Young will be studs in the league for many years to come.
So just Bob thinks Pollard's the top one of those three.
Well, I think Pollard's ahead of. I think he's ahead of Dillon. I just would take Javonte Williams ahead of him.
I like Devontae's age, and I like
he
there's no
believes that
competition.
the Ohio State quarterback has joined a cult and changed his name to
CJ
Shroud.
Okay, now I want to ask Just Bob, but also you two, and then we're going to switch to baseball because Just Bob was excited about baseball, and we've been teasing it. And meanwhile, Kasey, you got off the hook of basketball. We just spent too much time.
You like that?
We don't have time for it.
That's why I brought up Fantasy Dynasty.
Well done.
Thank
So,
you.
Just Bob, why CJ Stroud over Bryce Young? Or is that not what you're saying? You're just saying you think he's going to be good. And I understand like the size difference. That's part of it. I mean, these are all the questions I have. I have the top 2 picks, so I have to decide, is it going to be those 2 quarterbacks? Now, keep in mind, I do have Justin Herbert already. I also have Jared Goff.
So you don't need
makes
2.
It a little bit hard to go for both of them and just let Bijan go.
And see, I have Danny Dimes and Tua, and I'm uncertain about Tua's future.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll play next year. I still think you grabbing one of those quarterbacks, Dan, will make you.
I will grab one of them for sure.
I think you can put one of them on the market and get a really good running back for him.
I think I can certainly do that.
I mean, Bijan, as much as I love him, and I think he's a great back, he's not proven yet. I mean, there's no proof that this guy's going to even be playing the first year coming out of college.
Now, does it also depend on where these guys go?
It does.
Because when Breece Hall came out, he was the number 1 pick in our league last year, and I'm like, you're picking a Jets running back number 1, but the way he looked, I understand it, and there weren't the same quarterbacks as there are in this class. And
I took Kenneth Walker second, right? Last year.
Yeah. Michigan State. Yep.
So
Kasey, if you had number 1, you would be picking.
I'd be taking a quarterback. Yeah. Yeah. And there's not, I think if you're taking, I'd have a hard time taking both quarterbacks with the first 2 picks, just because you need the help at running back. Wide receivers are so crazy valuable these days. If you have those 2 quarterbacks, I grab CJ, then Bijan, and trade either Herbert or Goff. But it's a super flex, just so you know. Just
super flex. So
you really need 2 quarterbacks who you can start every week.
Yeah, that's true. Although I think he probably knows that. But the real question is this. I mean, I'm not sure I want to trade Herbert right now because I think his value is down. And Goff's value, even as well as he played in Dynasty, like everyone else, he's aging. It's one of the things I love about draft picks.
Aging? He's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, I know. But in Dynasty, it starts ticking quickly.
He still lives with his mother. I'm torn. I think is going to be a huge star in the NFL, and I would love to get him in Dynasty, is Addison for USC, the receiver. I think receivers are so valuable in fantasy right now. And I get you need a running back. I get it. I understand what you're saying. Your running backs are weak, but Addison's a stud that I would not want to pass up. I mean, this guy 2 years ago, he was the receiver. He won the Blidnikoff Award.
I hope to get him at 1.6.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But I
don't have him as my top wide receiver.
Oh, you don't? I do. I would definitely want that guy on my
You have
team.
Johnston as your top
receiver?
receiver?
I have Johnston as my guy just because he's 6'4", 210. Like, he's got that A.J. Brown build with speed, and you can see, I mean,
that's fine.
Addison's built more like Devonta Smith, who's, don't get me wrong, still an amazing talent and will probably be, a great wide receiver for a long time. But those big guys who can run and have that huge catch radius, like, he's going to have a size advantage over 99% of the people that try to cover him. Like,
okay, now
just be open.
Just Bob says CJ will start, so I think that's why he was talking about in Superflex. I think it's not a bad idea, actually, to grab one of those quarterbacks, Bijan, and trade Herbert or maybe Goff for something, really great. I'm ready to start competing. It's time. Now, let's give Just Bob and everybody else a little taste of baseball.
Yay!
It's coming pretty soon. And we love baseball. One of the things I love about baseball is there are games virtually every day. When the All-Star break hits, we think of it as this.
That's the longest 5 days.
No, give me my fantasy baseball. So, why don't we talk about some people? I don't know how much prep you guys have done at this point.
I've done.
Casey and I are very well
You want
versed
to
when it
talk
comes to baseball,
dynasty
yes.
or redraft?
Let's talk redraft first. Let's talk about positions that you see as thin or not. Last year, third base was ridiculously thin. It was just constant search for.
See, I have shortstop. Like, there's 3 or 4 great shortstops or good shortstops, and then it's like a dip.
So who are those?
Well, there's Korea. There used to be Trevor Story, right? Until he got hurt, and he decided that he couldn't throw the ball from shortstop to first. So now he's getting an operation on his shoulder so he could play maybe next year. In January, he's getting the operation, which is unbelievable that he waited so long, because maybe if he got the operation in October, he could play.
See, I have Correa not even in my top 10.
Let's say, let's say you're top 5 in shortstop. I'm just curious.
Trey Turner is, I think, number 1.
Of course.
I think Bo Bichette is actually number 2. I think the power speed, you're going to find a theme. I'm going with power speed guys.
No, but can I just say something about Bo Bichette and before we move on?
Sure.
I also look at the teams they're on. Like, if they're on a team that doesn't have any hitters on their team and they can't drive him in, or he can't drive people in, like the Washington Nationals have not a good lineup, but the Toronto Blue Jays have a really good lineup. So Bo Bichette's value is higher than a lot of people, just because of his team he plays on. But keep going.
By the way, I just want to say, the way Ross pronounced Bo Bichette, it sounded like he said Boba Fett at first.
Boba Fett.
Bo Bichette.
Where?
His dad was Dante Bichette, who played for the Colorado Rockies. But
No,
keep
it
going.
was Django Fett.
So you're going to notice a theme with my top 4 or 5.
And it makes sense. I agree.
Trey Turner, not only are they power speed guys, but they play qualify at multiple positions. Turner qualifies at second and short. Bichette doesn't. He just qualifies at short. But I'm going with Bobby Witt Jr. third. And I know Ross disagrees with that, but it's okay. I mean, he qualifies at short and third. And we've acknowledged that those are 2 positions that you don't get a lot of depth. Fernando Tatis Jr., he'll be back after 20 games? I think.
Is that what it is?
I think he has 20 left on his suspension.
I think it's about 20.
Like he qualifies at shortstop and outfield. Yeah. And then I like Francisco Lindor probably as my 5th, just because I think he came back. But somebody I'm excited about is Jazz Chisholm. You know, he got hurt last year.
I love Jazz Chisholm.
You guys remember, he was high on my list. That was one I did get right.
And he's also second base and shortstop.
Yep.
Remember last year, guys, he hit a home run like 500 feet. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. He hit a home run so far, that little guy, and then he got hurt.
It's all about bat speed.
Then he got hurt for a lot of the year. But so where do you have Bogarts, Casey? You don't have him in your top 5.
I do not. I don't necessarily like the move to.
Well, he doesn't run enough either.
Right. He doesn't run enough. I mean, the move to San Diego is what it is. It puts him still in a dynamite lineup, but he doesn't run. His power is inconsistent. He's got good bat to ball skills. He gets on base, he drives and runs. He's going to score runs in that lineup, depending on where they put him. But when you don't run, and there's so many players who do at that position, you're not. I have him around 8 or 9. Probably.
Meanwhile, it seems like the Padres have 3 starting shortstops.
They absolutely have 3 starting
crazy.
shortstops.
Just Bob was referring to Boba Fett and Mandalorian. I just wanted to give a shout out that he heard that.
Star Wars.
Or Star Wars. That's right. I'm thinking Boba Fett from Star Wars. I'm a purist. I think that, the power speed stuff is really important, because we saw last year, especially last year, the steals guys. I mean, if you actually went down the list and looked at the steals leaders, I think you got to like 15 players, and then you were down to like 12 stolen bases. It was insane.
I mean, to me, second base is much shallower than shortstop.
Okay.
Who are your top second basemen?
Well, if you're counting, I already have him as my top shortstop, but Trey Turner qualifies at second. Jazz Chisholm qualifies at second. It's Mookie Betts still for next year.
That's amazing. He's still qualified. I don't think he's qualifying for second. There's no way to put him at second basis.
Well, this is a really good point.
He played like one game.
So he says steals are going to be out this year because no shift. It's going to be really interesting what no shift does.
It does. I'm excited to see it. Like, I bet like the Jason Giambis and Mark Teixeiras of the world are cursing like that they didn't make the Hall of Fame because they played in the shift. But but Jose Altuve is how old now? Marcus Semien didn't finish the year very well, I don't think, last year. Ozzie Albies is coming off a major injury.
Semien also started the year very badly.
So second base, like you're looking at guys like Tommy Edman in the top 7 or 8 second basemen. And to me, that screams shallow.
What do you, okay. I got to watch. This is going to make Kasey twitch. What about Mondesi? Poor Kasey with Mondesi. We have a keeper league and he had Mondesi the last 2 years.
4 years.
4 years. Yeah. I mean, he treated you well in certain ways, but mostly not.
1 year he treated me well. The other 3, he teased me for a month and then was out for 4 months. Then he'd come back and tease me for 2 games and be out. But in fairness to him, I also have Byron Buxton on my team in that keeper league. So it's hard to determine which one is more frustrating.
Right. You have both. That's insane. Well, let's switch to pitching for a second here. So last year, one of the guys that I was super high on was Dylan Cease. When you see strikeout ratios like
when
that.
You tried to trade, I was in your camp on that when somebody, I think you were trying to trade him or he was in a trade offer and somebody was like, nah, he's no good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy's going to be a Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, so. No, I was very surprised. There were all kinds of people who were just like, I'm not a fan of him. So I'm like, all right, okay. Are you not a fan of cupcakes? And like cheeseburgers?
Pizza?
Okay.
Do you think puppies are ugly?
So what I want to know is there a Dylan Cease like guy out there that people should be zeroing in on? And I see Just Bob is talking about hitters here. He talked about Gleyber Torres. He's going to have a big year. I went in for him as a rebound year last year. He did quite well, obviously, but I ended up trading him or something like that, as I often do. But in terms of pitching, Just Bob, weigh in about, is there a guy like Dylan Cease whose numbers maybe don't look, because let's call Shane Bieber Justin Bieber again. Shane Bieber did this also. He showed great ratio numbers, his strikeouts and stuff like that. And then the next year he won the Cy Young. And Dylan Cease was that same guy who made that next leap. Who's that guy this year? I could leave.
I love that. You know who I like? I think he was rookie of the. Was he rookie of the year? I can't remember. Is the pitcher for the Atlanta Braves
Spencer Strider?
Spencer Strider. Thank you. I like him just like Dylan Cease. This guy's throws heat, a lot of heat, and this guy's ERA was under 3, I think, last year, and he had some tough losses. And he got hurt. He came back. But I think this kid is the real deal. I think this guy's going to win the Cy Young in the next 5 years, maybe 3 years. But I love Spencer. This guy's great. And he's my National League Dylan Cease. I agree with you.
Well, but he already, in my opinion, already had that kind of.
I know, but he doesn't. You don't even hear him in discussion as one of the top pitchers in the National. He doesn't even come up. When it comes to discussion, the top pitchers in the National League. I mean,
look at this comment. Cease is going to flop. I like Strider. I think we all like Strider.
I've seen Cease pitch in person, and he's really, really impressive. I mean, I disagree. Cease,
to me, somebody who's kind of viewed in that Cease mold as teasing with potential, but has never been able to put it together, is Jesus Luzardo. I think that's a kid who, if he stays healthy in the Marlins system, the way they know how to develop pitchers, could take that step to being a tier 1 starter between this year and that. Last year was Sandy Alcantara for them.
Well, he was great. I mean,
he's a top 5 starter at this point, I think.
He's like a Cy Young candidate every year now.
And so I think, to me, it would be somebody like Jesus Luzardo.
I like
that. Now, meanwhile, you've also got those older pitchers. I mean, like Justin Verlander won a lot of leagues last year. I had the chance to
Only
take
because
him.
Daniel didn't own him.
Yeah, it's always with Verlander. It's always if I own him, he's a disaster. If I don't, then he's fantastic.
Who's he playing? Who's he pitching for this year? He's pitching for
The New York Mets.
the Mets. That's right. They signed him for. He's going to be 40 years old this year.
2 years, 90-some million, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I still think he's going to be good, but it's interesting. In last year's draft, I had a chance. I was kind of rebuilding the team a little bit, and so I didn't go for Verlander because I was like, yeah, he's going to be good this year. But
just so everybody understands, this is a keeper league, so
yes,
the age factors in a lot more.
Right. If it's a redraft league, I would have just taken Verlander. Here was my mistake. You guys remember who I took? Probably not. Jose Barrios. Oh my God, that guy was a train wreck.
He was a big disappointment. He's pitches for, I believe, the Toronto Blue Jays still, right?
I don't know if you call that pitching, but yes, he does play for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, he had a horrible year. Yes.
I cut him at one point, and it was the highlight of my season.
I love cutting players that I drafted high just because it makes me feel good.
I mean, somebody who was really good last year who could take it to the next level next year is Alek Manoah, also in Toronto.
Oh, I like that.
I like that. And whoever has him in our fantasy league, I mean, he's definitely going to keep the guy, you know? I mean, whoever that is. I'm not quite sure.
Is that you, Ross?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, now, Just Bob thinks Barrios is going to bounce back this year. What do you guys think?
Well, he can't do much worse.
Well, he's definitely going to bounce back some.
He's going to regress back to the mean, a positive regression in some way.
I don't know. He was pretty mean the whole time. I don't think he's going to bounce back much.
Nobody's treated that dirty since.
I think we all know one thing. He sure as hell isn't going to end up on my team.
No, he's going to be drafted on my.
He's your Yu Darvish.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys do that? If you've been burnt really badly by another player, do you ever go back to them?
2 players, Yu Darvish and Justin Upton. I haven't owned them since.
I agree with Kasey. It puts a bad taste in your mouth, and you just don't want to see their names every day on the roster. I agree.
Yeah, because if you do take them and then they punish you again, you're like, what am I doing? You know, I'd rather take a chance on somebody else.
Yeah.
What player has burned you the most in your baseball history?
Adalberto Mondesi.
Ross? Yeah.
Joey Votto, just because he's so hot and cold, and I drop him, I pick him up, I drop him, I pick him up, he gets hurt, I drop him.
You know, for me, it's Verlander, because if I own him, he has been terrible. I have had him on my roster, I think 3 different times, and they were.
This is dark. This is dark to say, but I think Ben from our fantasy dynasty football league, when he was in baseball, he had Jose Fernandez. That probably wins.
Oh, well, that also, I mean, it's such a tragedy. I actually traded Fernandez to him.
Yeah.
And then that happened.
You couldn't have timed that trade much better.
I felt
this guy's like
horrible.
Like DeGroote gets hurt every year. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but his numbers. Dan used to have, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, he used to have Troy Tulowitzki. But what Tulowitzki could do in 80 games or 90 games was better than what any other shortstop could do in 160. And so it was worth it to have him, even though he was hurt all the time. I see DeGrom as kind of the same way. Like what he does in 26 starts as opposed to 34 starts is so superior on every single metric of fantasy baseball that he still ends up a top pitcher.
And he's in Texas. He's a Ranger now, which is interesting. Should be interesting to watch.
Wow, Bob, you are showing some Yankee fandom.
Steal of the offseason. Chapman. I almost said Rex Chapman. Old sports names coming.
Going down to Kansas, wouldn't that be Rex Chapman?
That's true.
Rex Chapman, Super Dog. We call it. What was his nickname?
Rex, I don't remember, but I know he had like a 40-inch vertical
or something. Yeah.
Steal of the offseason. So
it's not a steal. Hold on. It's not a steal. Chapman's career is almost over. I mean, his arm is shot. He gave up a lot of runs last year. He blew a lot of games for Kasey Shienvold. He's very upset. And his career is almost done. So it's like the Kansas City's like the last place veterans go to retire.
That's and here's the thing. I mean, it might be the steal of the season. Like from
not a steal.
I'm actually in your camp
Ask
on this, Ross.
Kasey.
I don't think it's that great of, although it could be because he really
No,
he
it's
had
not.
he had a bad season, so it's a chance to really
Oh, he got.
reboot. But the question is, if he goes to Kansas City, I mean, they're not going to contend.
How dare you? Of course they're not. Of course, he'll be lucky to get 22 saves next year.
Watch, I'm not going to keep Mondesi this year, and he's going to like play
Right.
150 games, steal 140 bags, hit 30 home runs.
I think that listen, you only have two choices. You let him go and he does that, or you keep him and he tortures you. So
Yeah.
I think you let him go and let him do
I'm a bit
that.
of a masochist.
In
Which is more
baseball-
torturous, watching him carry somebody else to the title or continually.
I'll tell you, having him on your team and sucking would be even worse.
worse. And you know what? With relief pitchers this year, I was like kept one or two. I'm not going to keep one relief pitcher to start the season. And during our draft,
Yeah, we have 6 keepers in this
we
league.
get 6. I'm not
Everybody's
keeping one relief pitcher because I think they're so easy to draft later in our.
Well, and you
regular
got
draft.
burned by Hater. I mean, you're a hater.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the same. Something happened to him. I don't know what it was.
I actually think he's back at the
That's
end of the
fine.
season.
Draft him.
Oh well, I might if he's available. We're gonna wrap up on this, guys. But I'm excited to have baseball in the works. We always say we're gonna talk about basketball, but the fact is we're just so hungry for football and baseball. It usually doesn't happen. But if you guys do want to talk about basketball, let us know. It might make Kasey topple over, but it could be fun to watch.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, basketball, a
make
lot of
something up.
injuries going on, a lot
Draft
of stuff
Penny
in the
Hardaway.
NBA, but we'll be happy to talk it with you guys.
So just last observation, Just Bob says about Aroldis Chapman, he's looking to look good to get traded at the deadline. That I can definitely see. He'll probably end up on the Padres. The Padres just trade for everyone.
Or the Dodgers. I mean, it's
or the Dodgers. The Padres or the Dodgers.
I just realized the Dodgers got JD Martinez this offseason.
Yep. But look how many home runs he hit last season, Kasey Shienvold. Look how many home runs he had, like 16.
Made me shiver. Did you see that?
Yeah. JD is I think he's close to 35, right? I mean,
so have you guys looked at any dynasty stuff for baseball?
No, but we got to start a dynasty league. And
I know, but who do you think who would be your top 2 or 3 guys you'd be looking at and starting?
All right, let's answer that question, then we'll wrap up for today. Let's say top 3 in dynasty baseball.
Yes.
Wow. I know Tatis was suspended, but it's hard to pass him up in the top 3.
I have him at 6.
Interesting. Okay. I wouldn't put. I don't think I'd put any pitcher in my.
No,
top.
I don't have a pitcher in my top.
I'm not sure I would put them in my top 10. You get injured.
Probably my top 15. I don't know where I would. And who would your top pitcher be?
The top pitcher would be. I don't know. I got to think about that. So,
that's a tough
where
question.
does Vladimir Guerrero fall
on my list?
Yes,
4.
Yeah, I don't have him in the top 3 either. Although interestingly, I can't even think of exactly who it is. I need to look at a list. Ross, who do you have?
If I was you're talking dynasty, not redraft, obviously.
Right.
Dynasty.
I mean, I would take Trey Turner just because of the steals. I know he's older. I get
He's
it.
Turn 30 this year. Just so you know.
I think he has 3 or 4 years left. I love somebody else. I think that hasn't peaked yet, but I think he will in the next few years. Is Bryce Harper? I think he'll be another MVP for.
I like him, but he's older again. I would take Bobby Witt.
And he had Tommy John surgery.
I think I would have Bobby Witt in my top 3 as well.
Bobby Witt has not proved to me to be like a top player.
Bobby Witt was my number 5.
Okay. Who are your top 3, Kasey?
Julio Rodriguez.
Oh, that's a good one.
That guy's a stud. Ronald Acuna is only 24.
Yep. That's a good one.
And Juan Soto.
Juan Soto. Now that's a guy that's going to.
He doesn't run, but he's going to be bad. Like he and Vladimir Guerrero are pretty much.
He did not play that great in San Diego in the last couple of months of the season. He did not have many home runs.
I am wary of when people switch teams. I think he messes with their heads.
Look at Francisco Lindor, right? Like his first year with the Mets was terrible.
Yep.
Last year he was a top 5 shortstop.
That's a good.
Listen, I love Soto, but I'm just telling you guys, he wasn't doing the RBIs or home runs that.
It's true, but look for them to make.
But again, like I told you guys, Look at the team he plays on and the lineup and all the production they're going to have on that team alone. So yes, Juan Soto, Kasey Shienvold, top 5 pick.
At 4, I have Guerrero. At 5, I have Bobby Witt. At 6, Yordan Alvarez. At 7, I have Rafael Devers.
He just signed a contract.
You've been doing some thinking about this. Okay, guys, we're going to talk more about it. Baseball is really here at this point. We're going to keep talking some dynasty football. We'll talk real football, just to update about what's happening in the playoffs. We'll talk about baseball. Just Bob says Rodriguez, Soto, and Witt. This is a great debate.
How about Kasey? How about Aaron Judge? You didn't have him in your top.
I love him, but he's 31.
Yeah, from a dynasty perspective,
I get it.
For a couple of years, but
I'm just curious.
I still think he's top 10, which if you're a 31-year-old is pretty amazing.
I got him for Kasey in our other league. It's not a dynasty league too. It's a keeper league. So I have him already for Kasey.
I'll give you Adalberto Mondesi for him.
A cliffhanger to be continued, even though we know that's not happening.
Horrible.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining tonight. Kasey, Vlad to the Bone, Shienvold. Good to see you.
Go Giants.
Ross the Boss. Thanks
for
joining me here. Guys, we will see you same time next week. That's 6 p.m. Eastern.
Nope.
I have the wrong
4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific.
4:30 p.m. Pacific.
And on Tuesdays, you can watch Kasey and I argue with each other and tell jokes at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m.
This is why we
Pacific.
get confused.
And we'll talk about the games that happened on Saturday and Sunday and tell about how great all the Bengals and Giants did.
All right, Just Bob, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching out there, everybody. We look forward to talking to you again next week. But again, it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. We will see you then. Take care till then.